Make sure you go like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the channel always. I wonder, can y'all hear my TV, man? Right now I'm watching ABC News and they're talking about the election, right? This morning, when I was on my way to go to work, right, I seen so many people lined up at City Hall and at the library because it's different places to vote depending on the area that you stay in around here, right? And when y'all come in, hit the like button too. So you had to go to these different places depending on where you stay and go vote. And I seen all these places packed up, man. And it was like, I'm telling you, it was exactly like 7 o'clock, man. Like everybody was lined up. I said, man, so as I'm moving through town, because like my job, I move around the town throughout the day, right? So while I'm moving around town, man, it's like 7 o'clock is packed, 8 o'clock is packed, 9 o'clock is packed, 10 o'clock is packed. The only time it wasn't packed was was at 11 and at 3 o'clock. And the only reason it wasn't packed then, I guess, because at 11 they took lunch. But I know the reason it wasn't packed at 3 because around here where I'm at, it's a lot of factories or whatever, right? So I guess people hadn't got off work, and then you got some people that's on their way to work. So that's what it was then. But right now, man, as I'm looking at it, right now it's talking about okay, there you go. But now they're talking about the different states, Wisconsin, Trump up. But I just looked just a while ago as an overall, and it said Biden was up. And I know you got to have 270 electoral votes to win. And I want to say that Biden was up by two. I don't know exactly the number, but yeah, man, I was like, okay. So Biden, he going pretty hard right now. I don't know what be happening, man. Unbelievable, but man, it don't do this when I'm talking about other stuff, but it always jump off when I get to talking about this. But anyway, man, right now, Mississippi, yeah, 56%. It's 56% and 46%. I'm what? Man, that's why I don't believe in these votes, man. I just don't think we the majority down here, man. I just don't believe that it was that high for Trump in no Mississippi, man. I just don't believe that. I don't know, man. But either way, the race is pretty close. It's pretty close. John Hickenlooper, he won the Senate in Colorado. So there's somebody that won something already. I didn't know they do that. They count the Democrats and the Republicans votes like it'd be the Lakers going against the Celtics. All right, the Lakers got four, and the Celtics got two. Okay. I didn't. Hey, I learn something new every day. You feel me? Every day. Man, you messed that dude's name all up. This dude that just won in Colorado, they said that he was in the presidential race, but he dropped out and decided to run for Senate instead. I didn't know you could do that. But hey, do anything when you're right. See, I said right. Y'all racist. Trump won in Georgia. Biden won in Illinois. It's tied in Kansas. This is what I don't get neither. you gotta have a certain number of electoral votes, but they counting all these different votes in other states, and then you can win in most states. But if you don't have that number of electoral votes, you won't win. I'm like, I don't understand that. I'm gonna have to go look it up and enlighten myself so I know what it is. Cause I don't like feeling dumb. Like I don't. I just that's the first time I ever thought about it too. I don't know what that means. Mississippi, Joe Biden 39, Trump 59%. Man, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. They must be having their kids voting and everything. They ain't talking about over 18. They must be taking their little 5 and 6 year olds. Y'all vote too. Well, just market they drove 18 or something. I don't understand that.
Mary Bruce, thanks very much. Let's take a deeper dive now at the state of Pennsylvania. We've been calling that the most critical battleground of the night tonight. 19% of the expected vote is in right now. Joe Biden has a large lead. And Tom,
Yeah, all right. They said Pennsylvania is very important for some reason, but in Pennsylvania, Joe Biden is up 56% to Trump's 43%. I'm not really even into this, you feel me? But being that it's a presidential election, you know, it does affect us, you feel me? So you need to know what's going on. Be aware, if anything. Even if you don't understand it, just be aware. You know.
how high Joe Biden's here. That's the type of number Democrats want to make sure they can hold in Pennsylvania, not only in Pittsburgh, but also in Philadelphia. Let me open this up a little more as we get to Philadelphia and the suburbs. George, look,
I just don't know.
Have a freak out here. 93%, that's obviously incredible, but there's only 9% of the voting at this point.
I don't know who's going to win
Let me squeeze this out a little bit. We'll look at one of the suburb counties, the exurb counties around Philadelphia, where Democrats have to run the score. Look, Joe Biden's doing good, but again, George, it's so early. There's nothing really to pull. Do we have anything from Erie County, and then I want to bring John in? Yeah, Erie County, we have.
And see,
Donald Trump,
just like dude said, it's so early right now. You really can't just say who's gonna win and who's gonna lose, you know, because it's too early.
4% in. But I've got to say,
Nobody really, you know.
Philly suburbs, Montgomery County, Delaware County, you see Biden with nearly an 80-point lead. It's 16% of the vote in. What's really important here, though, George, is, as I understand it, almost all of the vote that has been counted are people that voted today on election day. You know, Pennsylvania didn't start counting in those counties of Philadelphia.
Because yes, and see, I ain't thinking about that neither. I'm thinking about the people that voted today. But you know, people, you know, you could have voted already as long as you registered.
That mail-in vote is expected
So,
to really to lean heavily towards Joe Biden. So I think it's
and then they said they gotta count in the mail-in votes. So it's gonna, man, it's a lot, man. It's a lot gonna tie into this. You can't just. Damn, Mississippi 38% Joe Biden, 60% Trump. Man, I don't. They lying. They lying.
You know, Pennsylvania, when you compare it to Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, actually, in the exit polls show
they are lying. Do you hear me? They lying. Straight up.
Let's dive in here and see what
Airflow clean.
These are preliminary. But the exit polls, as we mentioned earlier in the night, do reflect both, as John Carl was mentioning, people who voted today and those who were voting early.
I'll be right back,
y'all. Let's try to refresh that and see if the job performance comes up. 52% disapproving of Donald Trump and his performance, whether or not to tame the pandemic first or rebuild the economy. You can see overwhelmingly they say we've got to take care of this coronavirus in the U.S. And they say that Joe Biden is the best to handle that. When you look at the economy, Donald Trump and Joe Biden neck and neck in Pennsylvania. The most important issue in Pennsylvania, the economy, pandemic, they're behind. It's interesting. Let's look at independents in Pennsylvania. Joe Biden owning independents so far as the exit polls are concerned in Pennsylvania.
Especially neighboring state of yours in New Jersey, always going to be up for battle for the president, but essential.
Listen, vital, has to have it. And I do think that the things that we're seeing still, I think this is very early, but there's underperformance in Philadelphia, even though those numbers don't indicate it. That's what I continue to hear. And so I think there's still
nationwide
feeling like
Joe Biden 48%, Donald Trump 51%. That's what it is so far.
A win there yet. that I've heard, but no one's bemoaning the loss yet either.
270 to win.
The Biden campaign probably spent more time, energy, money, focus on Pennsylvania than any other
51
state.
to control. See what the heck?
The vice president, do you remember?
Okay, that's okay. I know what that means. I know what that means.
Oh, I know you're a sheriff. I mean, he's
That's for the Senate.
like a
They're talking about the
precinct
Senate
captain
when they
coming
said
They look at these numbers, and I would say there's a regional thing that's starting to happen.
Mm.
You look at the Ohio number, you look at Pennsylvania numbers. They're early, but there are trend lines. where Joe Biden
218.
is outperforming in
Get
the
it total
suburbs.
votes
He's outperforming among working class, and he's
for the House of
also
Representatives to
outperforming in the
control.
rural areas, even though you don't count it. Just minimizing the losses is doing well. So he is doing really in those areas well. The vote total, in the sense of how many people show up in the suburbs versus working industrial areas.
Hey,
versus
I can tell that politics.
Because I think the urban areas
This
may
is
not
cutthroat.
be performing to the kind of baseline of what people.
People think, hey, we think we in the hood and you know we out here doing this and doing that, taking these chances and that chances and being street and all that so-called street, you know, and you know, busting your gun and all that. We think we out here, we think we gangster. What we doing when a person in a suit, dressed clean, how the old folks say, dressed to the nines, look at you and tell you, hey man, you can either shut up in your life and put your whole family in prison. And know they got the power to do it. Hey, gangster there. Hey, gangster. Trump been showing his gangster card since he been in office. I don't rock with him, but he been doing stuff that I just can't believe, man. Like he been doing some gangster stuff, man. I'm like, man, ain't no way Trump doing that. Ain't no way he said
Wait
this.
till an entire jurisdiction is in before you get too
I
excited.
think we have to do that. There's no question about that.
Man, don't
But
care.
we spent a lot of time with suburban women in the state of Pennsylvania.
I always say to get respect, you gotta give respect. So I might say stuff about him, but that is the thing that I do respect about him. You feel me? So with that respect, you know, I want respect, but he still ain't cool though. You feel me? Yeah, what it is. Still ain't cool.
Those were all the discussions that they were having, and a lot of these moms telling me that, you know, previously in other elections, they weren't really that plugged in. They maybe voted in a presidential election prior, but this year they thought it was very important to vote. George?
Eva Copeland, thanks very much. Let's go to Nate Silver before we go to break. Nate, let's take one more look at your magical, I shouldn't call it magical, your very scientific forecast there. And what happens if Pennsylvania flips this year, went to Donald Trump 4 years, goes to Joe Biden this time around?
So again, I'm going to make things a bit more suspenseful.
That dude, he got a bad habit of biting on his glasses, man. He remind me of a dude I went to school with.
It's going to show the numbers going up. We'll
He's telling me, man, I hope your ears clean, bro.
It's a little bit of a more purple state.
I always biting and licking on your glasses on the earport.
So that's really it kind of brings you back to where you were.
Then they got their chances. Some dude got it broke down scientifically, and he got a chart with a graph and everything, and he got the odds and everything. I ain't gonna say them numbers though, because like he said, those are chances. You know, you can't really go off there.
That Trump has now pulled ahead in Ohio, and that they believe Trump will win between 1.5 and 2 points.
He said that like he want to jump off the chair. He a Trump supporter. I've been hearing a lot of people change up though and start saying they going for Trump. And I'm like, man, what do y'all know that I don't know? What's going on?
They believe that Donald Trump will win the break. We'll be right back.
With me, I just have to compare their good points and their bad points to see which one outweigh the other. And I'm gonna tell you, it was kind of pretty even. You feel me? But
this is no place for a child.
I just keep saying this though, man. What got me though is when he was at the debate, and you know they just straight up asked him, you know, are you gonna condemn? Dude was like, man, just stand by, man. That just didn't sit right with me, man. I'm like, stand by. I could put that in so many different ways so y'all can understand it, but I don't want this. I want to keep this video monetized. You feel me? So I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, man, I was like, man, what type of this? That wasn't cool.
We have made it through another week together.
That wasn't cool, man.
Wednesday night, get ready
Wasn't
for
cool to condemn us like
so
that, man.
big, so out.
It really would. Let's go to watch it here and see what they're talking about.
The fact that we are so competitive in Ohio and doing so well in like the
Alright, we're on
Cincinnati
NBC.
suburbs, the fact that Iowa is still in play, but it's mostly, as you know, the fact that we've
Alright,
got
they're talking
four
about
Democratic
governors.
governors in those states that have been having to bear the brunt of leading through the coronavirus. People know
So we
that in
vote,
our states.
man. Hold on now.
The president has
Hold on.
shoved everything
Hold on.
down to these governors. You've got a lot of things going on where these states have changed.
So we, man.
Since 2016.
Hold on.
Senator, you mentioned that
So we vote for governors too?
Stay strong, but of course you would have liked to have some cushion. Are you disappointed that so far, at least the Sun Belt is not turning into
Because I
a
didn't.
wave
Is
as
that, I mean,
some had hoped it
we
might
supposed to be
for Joe
doing that
Biden,
too?
at least one of them.
Well, we always know Florida is not an easy state. You didn't have a Senate race going on in that state. And
I'm
the
trying to
point
holler at
is
them,
that
man.
from the very beginning, from the moment that Joe Biden announced, he has been focused on these Midwestern states. I know because I debated him, ran against him, did my Blue Wall tour, and one of the reasons that I endorsed him was that I felt that he would see the importance of these states where people felt left behind over the last decade. Donald Trump's policies, whether it's on trade, whether it's on manufacturing, have left a lot of people behind, and that's even before the pandemic started.
Real quick, Senator Klobuchar, let's talk about your home state of Minnesota because Republicans
I
have
did
hoped
be
to
dead,
make it
man.
competitive. They have
You know, you gotta listen. You know, you ain't always gotta talk. I ain't always gotta go in these videos and just run my mouth. You know, sometimes we need to hear what's the information that's being given to us. Sometimes you don't want to talk. You just want to listen, man. Because when you listen, you learn everything you need to know and stuff you didn't need to know.
Lost that race narrowly. So important to be reminded of
Man,
Stacey
who is
Abrams'
that
efforts,
looking
to
bad?
get out the black vote to boost the Democratic
Who
vote
is this white
in the state
woman
of
on
Oregon, which
PBS
has given the Biden campaign hopes
with this blue coat
that they
on?
might have had a chance in
Because I can see she's tried Botox.
Go ahead.
And she's an older woman. It didn't go right.
Massive GOTV efforts in the 2 years since
She probably old, man. She probably look good for her age, man. What I'm talking about? She probably old.
Allegations of voter suppression in Georgia by her opponent, now Governor Brian Kemp, who was the Secretary of State when he was running against her. And so
This is the first time me flipping these channels that I seen a black girl talking.
Stacey Abrams veto work
Black period.
doing in Georgia, Texas, and
Period. I ain't seen it on no other channel.
Aaron Haynes, thank you very much. And we continue
Aaron
to check in
Haynes.
with public media reporters in some important states across the country. Amna is again talking with them.
Thank you, Judy. We
I'm
turn
not.
now to Mary LaHammer and
Well,
Ava
they got, hey, PBS, boy, they own it. PBS got different races everywhere. Why we ain't supporting PBS? I didn't know this.
Huge surges in turnout we've seen has been the story in so many cities.
PBS own
What's
it.
been the landscape in terms of the turnout?
Got
in
the
Minnesota,
black,
and what does it mean?
got the Indians representing the Indians on here.
Have the last two
I think
election
she is
cycles, and
now.
we also hold the all-time national record for turnout. We hit 83% back in 1956. That was a very popular
I don't know
President
what this is.
General Eisenhower here. And we've had a lot of presidential visits this time around. We have typically been a blue state for generation upon generation, but President Trump has
Your
surprised
eyebrows
himself by
look better
coming
than
within a
that. I
percentage
could
point and a
bet.
half last time around. And he's almost had a personal vendetta to come back to Minnesota. He's made more than a half a dozen visits here. He wants to win this state. Biden's been here a couple of times.
Biden is killing in Minnesota. He got 10 electoral votes there.
Will surpass 80% or even break that all-time record of 83%.
Turnout could help determine where that race goes. As we saw not in that graphic, just 30% of the expected vote in so far in Minnesota. We'll be tracking it to see which
And
way
that's
it
just
goes.
30% of the
Aaron,
vote
thanks
in
so much to you
Minnesota.
for joining us.
Come on, man. It's gonna,
Turn
man,
now
we'll
to
know
Lone
something
Star
later on
State.
tonight,
Andrew
but it's
Schneider
gonna be a
is with
while
Houston
though.
Public Media in Texas, and he joins us now. Andrew,
We'll probably
really
mess around, be
conversations about
early
Texas
this
going blue
morning
have been
or something.
ringing around the atmosphere for years
Unless, you
now.
know, it
It
mess
is
around,
tossed
just,
up.
you know, they
What's the
start
landscape and the
getting
latest on the race right now?
getting votes in and everything is one person and it's gonna boost it up.
Situation in Texas is very, very close.
Do a certain amount of votes count as electoral vote?
Took the lead by something in the neighborhood of
Is that how they do it? Cause that's about the only way I can think that it would be even, I guess, if like
and it's likely
500 votes makes an electoral vote.
And there's a key Senate race we're keeping an eye on in Texas as well. Andrew, tell us about that. Senator Cornyn, of course, is trying to hold on to his seat.
Trump.
What's the latest?
Trump got 38
Right, well, the
electoral
latest is
votes
that
in
Senator Cornyn looks
some
like he is going to
somewhere.
be getting a fourth term. This was, again, this is a race that people have been watching very closely as a result of the.
But yeah, I believe
race
that's how it
2 years
goes.
ago between
I
Senator Ted
guess.
Cruz and Beto O'Rourke. But most people seem to think that that Senator
Trump
Cornyn
got
has,
South Dakota.
just generally done a better job than Senator Cruz did, and he's
270 to win. Biden got 131. Trump got 92.
38 electrical votes
Damn.
at stake there in Texas. Andrew Schneider from Houston Public Media joining us tonight. Thank you to you. Let's turn now
Can't
to
say nothing yet, though. You gotta see how it go.
Trump's win back in 2016. It's now one of the many states seeing a surge in COVID cases. Zach Schultz is with Wisconsin PBS, and he joins us now. Zach, good to see you. This is one of the states
I know
we
what
should
it
mention where they
was,
didn't
man.
really
I
come
know
out with any
exactly what it
ballots
was now.
until Election Day. What does that
When I
mean?
was
Is
saying
it gonna be a
earlier,
long
when
night
I
for
said
you?
Trump, I said, why everybody going for Trump now? What happened? I know what it was now.
Milwaukee has 169,000 absentee
Cause
ballots
I thought to myself, man, I said, that is, man, no matter how you say it, you know, that was cool. That was Trump pardoned a lot of black folks, I ain't gonna lie. He pardoned a lot of black folks here lately before he left office.
That's just a lot of ballots. That's nearly 5% of the vote in Wisconsin.
But whether he get president or not,
And check back in with you, Zach. But we mentioned the COVID surge.
we shouldn't
that's
hold no
been happening
grudge.
there
You
in
know,
Wisconsin,
people,
like much of
you
the
know,
Midwest,
we
it's
do
now
appreciate
third in the
that.
nation when it comes to per capita COVID cases. How is that impacting the election, if at all?
Well, surprisingly today, it was a completely different
But
scene.
hey, like
than
I
what we
said,
saw in
man, you could
April. When
change
people
it
in
like
the
that,
middle of
man.
the initial surge, people were scared to go
Especially in
outdoors.
certain states. If
Open. Today, more
what's the
polls were
biggest
open
states?
because
New
of the
York,
large number of absentee voters. There weren't as many people there.
Los
All the
Angeles.
voters
I
I
mean,
saw today were wearing
biggest
masks,
states.
and
New York,
people didn't
Los
seem to be
Angeles. I
worried.
mean,
And I think
Los Angeles,
preparation
California,
for how to handle this election
and
meant that the
Texas.
COVID
I
impact on
think.
election day wasn't there, but it
I
certainly
think New
an
York is
impact on the
first,
voters
then
and how they
California,
choose to
then
vote.
Texas.
Zach, very briefly, in less than a minute now, one of those key groups we
If
watched in
everybody
Wisconsin
from
was
New
white
York
voters
messed
without a
around and
college
voted
degree.
for
They
Trump,
helped to
it
get
probably
that
would
win
be
to
over
President
with.
Trump back in 2016. Is that still
Or
an
halfway
important
over
group to
with.
watch tonight?
Well, that's definitely where Republicans are hoping to see a boost in turnout. They still think there were more of those voters in Wisconsin that had not voted at all or hadn't voted since maybe the Bush era. And then the other core group is southeastern Wisconsin, those never-Trumper Republicans that weren't quite sure if they were sold on Trump and whether they were going to turn out for him or not.
That is Zach Schultz in the key state of Wisconsin.
But we gonna see how it turn out, man. Be right through the hard
Thank
way.
you to you.
Like, comment,
And you,
subscribe,
back to you.
share.
Thank you, Anna.
All that
We
good
are
stuff.
hearing, I think I can say this on the air.
I'm gonna hit
is
y'all
that
another
right, that
video
NJ Hager,
real soon here, man. To upload. It'll be fire too,
challenger
man.
in Texas,
picking up on Anna's
Till then,
interview just now,
me and Ho look for you.
it is
Do
reported that she's
what you
going
want.
to
I mean,
concede to John Cornyn. That race has not been called.
me and
by the
Ho
AG.
look for you.
Stay with us. We're gonna
Do
take a
what you're
short break.
supposed
We'll
to
be
do,
right back.
not what you want to do. There we go. And I'm out.